Welcome back friends, carrying forward with public relations and influence. Now let us look at things. You see, last time we talked about influencers and influence. Now let us look at peer to peer influence and word of mouth. You see, earlier we mentioned about celebrity influence, a common man's influence as well, but here we are focusing upon peer influence. You see, it is definitely used for creating a buzz, and word of mouth marketing builds a community of brand advocates who vouch for your products online and offline especially. But you see, word of mouth gets generated through several kinds of efforts, as I talked about last time also. But you see, peer to peer influence is very important because you belong to that community. Students, they get influenced by students. You belong to a particular kind of a profession, definitely there would be a professional influence on you. The society we live in, kind of similar work area, similar living levels or places. So somehow we resonate with that easily. And you see, Nielsen talks about that 83% of customers trust recommendations from family, friends and peers when making purchase decisions. We have talked about behavioral influence earlier as well, but here we are referring to the role of influence in public relations. Then there are steps to propagate word of mouth. If you notice, instead of business to consumers, if we can make it business to people actually. Now that is not in literal sense, because when we talk about business to consumers, we have specific consumers paying for our products. But business to people makes sense when we are focusing upon masses and wish to include their thought process to influence our consumers on the one side, and also probably from that large mass base we are looking forward to market expansion through including several people as our consumers later on. This can be talked about with reference to consumer products or large selling organizations at one go, or the products which can be universally used at the end of the day, for example pharmaceuticals. Now unfortunately one has to use medicines many a times, hospitals, one should not fall ill, but people do fall ill. On the positive side, education is for all. College education, people definitely seek college education at one point of time. So that is where word of mouth is supportive of when we talk of looking at business to consumers for making it business to people. And you see, you can make people feel as insiders, someone who is in the know, so that they can they talk about it. Individuals have the tendency to express what they believe and makes them appear attractive. We have been continuously mentioning this word trust and belief, and at the end of the day it is a matter of generating belief, and that is what public relations is all about, and that is where word of mouth comes into being. Although word of mouth is also very effective in terms of spreading negative publicity, we have talked about that earlier, but we have to use word of mouth as a strategic element to generate positive publicity. And this can be done when individuals identify with your brand. There are famous examples like Facebook. When it started out, it was only available for Harvard students. Mark Zuckerberg was studying there, and within the first month, more than half of Harvard undergrads were Facebook users. There is a movie which shows that. There is lots of data on that. There are research papers on that, and one source is mentioned here in this slide as well. This is insights from Berger J. Contagious: Why Things Catch On. So it is first Simon Schuster hardcover edition, New York. So, and you see, this helped the site build up a lot of hype, since the other students had to wait till it was available for their school. Have you heard people waiting outside shops since the preceding night to catch up the first edition of Apple iPhone when the shop opens in the morning? People beelining in long queues for purchasing Apple iPhones. You must have heard of those kind of news items. Basically, it definitely happens because of the strong brand image of Apple, and people do anticipate the new changes which Apple would bring in. But definitely, it's a complementary effect of several kinds of communications which come from the side of the organization as such. See, people want to be the first to reach there. Then there is an element of associations and triggers. And triggers are reminders around you that spark off related thoughts and ideas. When one thing automatically associates another in your brain, for example, bread and butter, of course. So, you see, and I would have mentioned Daniel Kahneman earlier as well, wherein he has demonstrated how associative memory, priming, this affects our thought process, system 1 and system 2 thinking, and it's one of the most interesting read you would go through. I am again recommending that. Now, the goal is to associate your brand with a trigger that people will encounter often, and it can be done on special days or seasonal kind of times or activities and events specifically which are related to what you are thinking of in terms of your products and services. And you see, this loop queue routine becomes automatic until something changes it impactfully. Where are we reaching to? We are reaching to a thought process which is effectively demonstrated by Herbert Clark in one of his papers. Herbert Clark is a very renowned academician, a very referred academician whose researches has been referred by great academicians around the world. He has been talking about one very interesting thing: when noun becomes verb, when Google becomes Googling. Now, that is what we are referring to as far as associations and triggers. It creates a habit, and is the reason why we no longer say go search it on the internet. Instead, we say go Google it, and one says I Googled it, and one says I am Googling that. Noun becomes a verb. Very, very important observation and very effective thing for an organization to reach to that mark wherein the action is known by their name. Now, that is very important. How many organizations would have reached to that kind of a mark? Can't say, but there are few, and Google is one of those. Now, you see, another element is when they care, they share, and let's make them emotional. Now, as I have been saying that marketing is associated with several kinds of terms, exercises, activities, and so on. So, here it has been termed as emotional marketing in few researches by few researchers. You see, people's everyday life seems profoundly emotional. They experience at least one emotion 90% of the time, as mentioned in one of the papers by Tramp, and that the name of the paper is Emotions in Everyday Life. So, you see, these are interesting researches which demonstrate in front of us how things are happening around us. Campaigns with purely emotional content perform about twice as well with only rational content, and those that were purely emotional did a little better. Those that carried mixed emotions and rational content, kind of comparatively, if you will compare emotional and rational content as compared to pure emotions, so pure emotions definitely had a tilt towards itself. That is what this kind of a research by IPA Data Bank suggested. Again, an interesting outcome. which guides our thought process towards the fact that emotions, they work better as compared to other things. And that is why, it says that when they care, they share, let us make them emotional, or let us get them associated with their own emotions. That is what the content is, that the element is. Remember, डर के आगे जीत है. Now that is what this tagline says. Happiness is equal to more shares, sadness is equal to more clicks. Now that is again a very important kind of demonstration, a finding by a research. Definitely, people want happiness around you. And here I would like to, I can't refrain from making you look at the first of the videos wherein I demonstrated that whole of the integrated marketing communication world is divided largely into two parts. One of them is hope and happiness, and that is definitely is related to larger outcomes. People want to be happy, they want to percolate happiness, and that is why more shares. Now, for example, Dabur Vatika salutes female cancer survivors. Dabur Vatika is a hair oil, and they decide to get associated with cancer survivors. That makes lots of sense. They are trying to promote nature based products, herbal product, hair care. Somehow, they have this strategic fit as far as this particular product goes, but on the other side they have several other products which are related to our daily needs. They are related to Ayurveda, nature, herbal, these kind of elements. Now it makes lots of sense when they talk about female cancer survivors. This shows that they care on the one side, their dominant customer, I should not say the only customer, but the dominant customer in several products, not all, have been females. So, they definitely suggest that they care for females, and they are getting associated with a cause here, fortune ghar ka khana. Now, this is also very emotional campaign. If you will watch that on YouTube, you would find it associated with almost everyone's life, all of us. I do not think that I am talking to people who would not have stayed outside homes in one part of their lives, or would not be staying away from homes. All of us, by virtue of whatever we do, have to stay away from homes some or the other time. And when we are away, at that particular moment, you just talk about ghar ka khana. And then you look at the expressions of that person, and precisely this is what these kind of campaigns they do. They touch upon our hearts through our own emotions which are lying within. Just watch the campaign. I will not demonstrate that in front of you here. You will enjoy that. A slightly funny subheading, but taken from a research paper, and a very important insight and finding. Again, this is from Contagious, Why Things Catch On. So, it says monkey see, monkey do. People are more prone to, and here I extend a disclaimer that it is not to offend anyone, this is from a research paper, but just to suggest that we do mimic, we do copy. So, people are more prone to mimic something that is more widely known, and that definitely influence our thought processes. You see, we have larger trust. You would find two restaurants offering similar kinds of products, but you would go where you would find more people. Why? You would never know. You would have two ice cream parlors, and many a times they would be offering similar kinds of brands also, but you would be visiting one where you would find more people. Do not know why. That is where people mimic something that is more widely known or acceptable to others. So, you see, you can design products and initiatives that advertise themselves and create some visible behavioral residue. We used it, we liked it, we share it. Very simple. People share valuable practical information to help others. It can be provided through blogs, videos, FAQs, etc. It helps in showing people how to do something in a quick and easy way. For example, the best places to visit in summer, top 10 superfoods, or 100 things one should do till one lives, kind of. Now, that gives a precise target in one's mind that these are the 100 things which are doable, kind of dream sort of things basically. And there are examples of brands that are providing practical value to benefit and promote sharing amongst the customers. Healthify Me blog gives insightful information about nutrition and their benefits along with possible recipes. Dollar Shave Club's blog focuses on practical grooming advice for their predominantly male customer base. And remember, we are talking of public relations, and internet, our mobile phone has become a very strong mode of PR agencies reaching us with different kinds of influencers and influence involved. Once upon a time, stories, you see, they aren't just interesting, they are useful vessels for carrying important information. Narratives are liked by all. Just a precise argument or a statement about something or demonstration about something might not work that well. If you narrate a story about something, making the product a character or using a character to demonstrate the product, that definitely would, be more helpful. For example, you talk about a great athlete using a particular kind of a shoe to run and to practice, that story would mention the glory of the athlete with relevance of the shoe, and that would be a great influencer. Storytelling can make a brand more personal, more human, more memorable. And again, it is from a research paper, source is mentioned here, wherein 68% of nearly 2,400 respondents reported their average online video sessions last more than 30 minutes, with 40% reporting average sessions of over an half hour, and that is from Ogilvy and the Young Turks 2018. So, they conducted a survey in fact, and you see, the survey also found that these are frequently occurring events, with 73% reporting having 30+ minute viewing sessions more than 3 days a week, and 29% saying they view for 60 minutes or more per session on a daily basis, which means attention is available, but the bar has been raised. Now, very interesting examples are related to these researches, and specifically stories around products, and there are several researches you can find for yourself supporting this argument. For example, the Land of Land Rovers campaign. Now, you see, Land Rover searched for people who are driving Land Rovers in Himalayas and hilly areas to support people who cannot find transport so easily, and there is a difficult terrain actually which has to be followed. So, these efficient drivers, they are maintaining those vehicles there, and they are using that for taking people from this side to that side. Now, you see, Land Rover went there, talked to those people, learned about their stories, brought in that narrative and projected it that you see, Land Rover is an efficient, effective vehicle which these courageous and efficient drivers are using for supporting their community and people around. A wonderful way to express and wonderful way to establish the strength of the vehicle. Then Hyundai celebrating 20 years of brilliant moments. Now, again a very beautiful kind of a story which you can follow, and you can decide for yourself how actually stories aren't they are not just they do not just generate interest, but they are vessels for carrying important information as well. Corporate advertising. Corporate advertising is definitely, a very major point of attention for public relations department or public relations agencies working for organizations, because corporate advertising is directed towards building up the image of the organization at large for people. As I said, there are many organizations which are not directly connected to consumers. They are into businesses which are supporting businesses, and those businesses are supporting different businesses, finally reaching to the consumers. That means they are, these organizations are at the earliest most part of the value chains. And you see, these large organizations, they go for corporate advertising for putting up their relevance in front of their customers or end consumers, which somehow they are supporting, being at the earliest most part of the value chain, plus to generate the stockholders value as well, and to definitely establish the trust around them. So, it is intended to establish a favorable attitude towards a company as a whole, rather than to promote the benefits of a specific product. While corporate advertising does include some mention of a company products, the object of the type of advertising is not directly aimed at generating sales. Stakeholders value is the mainstay, and you see, corporate ads focus on the strength of reliability of the company as a whole, the integrity that business employs in all its business relationships, and how the company seeks to better the circumstances of the geographic locations where it is operating. Zee advertises all its channels with the theme Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Now, that is a beautiful thought basically, and you see, a media house talking about Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam makes lots of relevance, brings lots of relevance. So, that is where corporate advertising comes in, and we all know Z stands for, So, then there is a short case study which I will briefly talk about, and this will demonstrate, the relevance of public relations reaching to word of mouth. And this is about Bharat Petroleum Corporation Limited. It is a Maharatna, we all know that. It is a global, it is a Fortune Global 500 company, and has been recognized with 11 prestigious awards by the Public Relations Society of India for business excellence and innovative approach in PRSI National Awards 2020. Bharat Petroleum Corporation Limited bagged the first position in 4 major categories such as best use of social media in campaign, public relations in action, award for innovation in customer care during corona times, and e-newsletter, several categories. Securing the second position in total 6 categories, BPCL marked another achievement in awards like innovation in marketing strategies in corona times, excellence in COVID-19, management in public enterprises, best communication campaign, external publics, best communication campaign, internal publics, best PSU implementing RTI, and the House Journal Hindi for Petroleum Swar. The company was also awarded with the third position best employee. You see, there is a long list of awards which Bharat Petroleum Corporation Limited has won. So, I was reading that they won third position best employee communication program award also. Now, Bharat Petroleum launched their campaign Jeet Ka Padak with a musical video on social media wishing Indian sportspersons in Tokyo Olympics 2020. And this is precisely what we were talking about, associating yourself with a particular kind of a cause, national element, trust, generating belief. You see, we have talked about this, and this is a PR exercise. Other components of Jeet Ka Padak campaign include Olympic trivia quiz, videos on archery and hockey, inspiring stories of players on social media platforms, and on-ground activities including selfie booth at BPCL's fuel stations. The company planned for traditional BTL campaigns, social media campaigns, integrated campaign, as well as reaching out to employees through in-house communication mediums. Now, you see what Bharat Petroleum has done in due course of time within this COVID period has been exemplary, has been exceptional. All their actions are directed towards developing their role in the society, emphasizing upon the meaningfulness of their role. They are a petroleum company. It's a necessary product. You see, they can definitely use different kinds of modes of advertisements or messages or communications to emphasize upon the products, the quality of the product, the level of the services and so on. But they are trying to put up something relevant in terms of public relations, business to people. That is what they are focusing upon, which is actually developing word of mouth around them. Awards definitely signify their efforts, establish their efforts, because that is a recognition by people who are monitoring these efforts, organizations who are actually evaluating these efforts. But at the end of the day, as customers, we are getting a larger image of Bharat Petroleum Corporation, and as customers, we are not only getting associated with the organization, but with their products as well. This can become large, they can grow more comparatively, or let us say individually as an organization, wherein that can contribute to their long term profits, but specifically to their stakeholders' value. There can be several similar cases of similar organizations as well, and many others would be doing similar kinds of efforts and would have been lauded about that. But all of it suggests the relevance of public relations as an important part of integrated marketing communication. Just to remind you, public relations can stand alone at a larger level with little support from different kinds of modes of integrated marketing communication, or it can support different modes of integrated marketing communication, or it can equally participate in whole of the process of integrated marketing communication as such, depending upon the need, depending upon the emphasis and effectiveness we associate with our public relations exercise. That is all from my side on public relations. Goodbye for now. See you next time.